Hello, everyone, and welcome to Peace News. We're live. It's Thursday, December 4th, 2014. Good to be with you. I'm Derek J. You can learn more about me at my website, derekj.me. You can also join this show live at lrn.fm, the Liberty Radio Network. We've got video at PeaceNewsNow.com/live. There you can see a chat room, and you can interact with other listeners. I'll be signed in there shortly. And we'll take your calls. We do calls via Skype. You can send a Skype contact request to PeaceNewsNow. That'll be accepted, and then I'll put you on the air. You can also dial in 443-424-8347. Coming up today, we're going to be talking about the lack of an indictment over the chokehold death of Eric Garner in New York City, a man accused of selling untaxed cigarettes. Then Mother Jones reports that Representative Peter King blames the chokehold death on Eric Garner's, quote, obesity. Really? Then, while a grand jury did not indict the police officer responsible for the chokehold death of Eric Garner, they did indict one man involved in Eric Garner's killing, the man who video recorded it. And coming up, possibly the best article I've read on police ever by Michael Malice at thoughtcatalog.com. All that and more, plus your calls. But first, let's get into it. Why is Peter King blaming Eric Garner's death on his obesity instead of the officer's hands that choked him? We'll take a listen.
Different perspective. Republican Congressman Peter King of New York is joining us. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us. What's your reaction to the grand jury decision today?
First of all, the death was tragic, and our hearts have to go out to the Garner family. Having said that, I do not believe, I feel strongly the police officer should not have been indicted. I've been following this case from the start. You had a 350-pound person who was resisting arrest. The police were trying to bring him down as quickly as possible. If he had not had asthma and a heart condition and was so obese that almost definitely he would not have died from this. The police had no reason to know that he was in serious condition. I know people were saying that he said 11 times or 7 times, I can't breathe. Well, the fact is, if you can't breathe, you can't talk. And if you've ever seen anyone locked up resisting arrest, and I've seen it, and it's been white guys, and they're always saying, you're breaking my arm, you're choking me, you're doing this. So police hear that all the time. They, in this case, a chokehold is not illegal. It is against department regulations, but as you look carefully, I don't think it was an intent to put him in a chokehold because he does move the baton as he brings him down. Also, people are saying very casually that this was done out of racial motives or violation of civil rights. There's not a hint there that anyone used any racial epithet. And also what's not mentioned is the senior officer on the spot who was there at the location was an African-American female sergeant. So I don't know where the racial angle comes in. I have no doubt if that was a 350-pound white guy, he would have been treated the same. And the reason the police were there is Tompkinsville is primarily a minority area. The local business people were complaining about Garner, who was constantly selling cigarettes outside their establishments, and he was creating a problem in the neighborhood. It was at the request of the community. The people in that minority community who went to police headquarters who wanted the police out there to remove him. So this was not any attempt by the cops to harass some guy for selling cigarettes. It was the request of the community that it be done, and this was a minority community, struggling business people trying to make a living.
I have to stop him there because there's just so much wrong in one short statement that was just a 2-minute clip, and so many inaccuracies and untruths were told. So talking about the racial motivations, he made one honest point that whether that guy was white or black, a police officer would have acted the same. I can speak from personal experience on this, having been choked by a police officer and screaming with my last dying breaths, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And the police officer didn't let up. Eventually, I suffered a concussion, and I nearly blacked out from lack of oxygen. If there weren't more people who ended up on the scene with video cameras, I could have died suffering the same fate as Eric Garner. So, yeah, he's claiming that it's his obesity. However, it's not the fact that a man's hands are around his neck. It's the fact that he's too fat, right? Ridiculous on its face. Don't even need to explain that part. But then this one, this is a particularly sneaky lie. Oh, it was at the behest of the community that Eric Garner was removed forcibly by 3 officers, at least 3. It looked like about 5. So it was at the request of the community. There were some snitches who went down to the local police department and said, hey, this guy's selling cigarettes and we don't like it. We don't want him in front of our store. They just couldn't talk to him, couldn't talk like human beings, have a conversation and say, hey, peddle your wares somewhere else, man. We don't want you here. Or, hey, you think we could work something out where you have your customers, you know, they use words instead of violence. Going to the police is the worst thing you can do, as we're going to see in the article by Michael Malice in just a bit. But let's return to this clip from this disgraceful representative, so-called representative, Peter King on Eric Gardner on CNN.
I'm told they're banned by the New York City Police Department, Congressman. So I guess a lot of the question is, why isn't the police officer in this particular case, Daniel Pantaleo, being held accountable if, in fact, he did engage in that chokehold?
First of all, it's not illegal. It's against departmental policy, so that has nothing to do with committing a crime. Secondly, there is a real debate as to whether or not that was a chokehold, because he did not seem to sustain the baton at the Adam's apple, but as he's bringing him down and move to the right. And again, I don't think there's any indication here that they intended to choke him. That was the intention. When you have a 350-pound guy who's resisting, and he's almost 6 or 7 inches taller than you, you try to grab him where you can and bring him down. And when he was on the ground, I just heard somebody before said they beat him, nobody punched him, nobody kicked him. They try to get his hands behind his back and handcuff him. And you talk to any cop, the toughest thing to do is to cuff someone who doesn't want to be handcuffed. And so to me, remember, they didn't know that this was being videoed, and yet there's no indication of any racial remarks. There's no attempt to kick him or punch him while he was down. They all they try to do is cuff him, and to do that, you have to subdue someone and hold them quiet.
Yeah, but what if you're subduing them and you're cuffing someone and you're kidnapping them for false reasons or for reasons that aren't legitimate? Like in this case, a man was selling cigarettes. Okay, so let's say he's guilty of that. Is that reason to kill him? Is that reason to even kidnap him? Is that reason to charge him with a crime at all? I believe if there's no victim, there's no crime. And in this case, a private sale between 2 consenting adults for cigarettes in exchange for money or whatever is a peaceful exchange of property. It has no business of the government to get involved, and it has no reason for violence to be introduced into this situation. Let's return to the clip.
Because the allegation is that he was selling cigarettes without tax. That's a pretty minor crime. So the question is, was it excessive force to go ahead and try to apprehend him with all these police officers surrounding him and using that kind of force?
Well, first of all, he wasn't going to go. Once the police come to arrest someone and he resisted, you have to arrest him. You can't have the community see someone being able to walk away from an arrest. The cops have to establish themselves. And again, they were there at the...
Oh, really? Okay, so the cops have to establish themselves. Yeah, they can't just admit that they were wrong, back off and say, we're sorry. We shouldn't have bothered you. We shouldn't have used excessive violence on you. No, they have to control the situation, right? Oh, no. Yeah. So they have to control the situation, and that means using violence, force, up to and including the point of death. Oh, and here's another lie. He's going to repeat the lie that this is about the community wanting to come together and use violence against Eric Garner. See, the whole community is really excited and glad that Eric Garner died at the hands of the NYPD. Here, Mr. King is about to tell you.
Request of the minority business owners in the community who felt that this man was interfering with their business. So they were there serving a purpose for the local community. And again, he was resisting arrest. Once he started to resist arrest, they had no choice but to try to bring him down. And I don't think there's any evidence at all, any indication that they wanted to choke him or they wanted to kill him or cause any severe harm at all.
Is it a
well, there's no evidence they wanted to do any harm, so killing him is okay, right? Because they didn't mean to. Of course, you know, when people murder people by accident, of course the charges are just dropped, right?
When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.org.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's post pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more
Don't worry, because he was just sitting here. I just came here.
Click like it. Facebook.
Run
my business. The Playboy guy stop.
It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Day Tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Refrigerated Cookie Dough. Who would you bake some love for? Find fun and easy baking ideas at tollhouse.com. Kids love doing arts and crafts projects, especially when you join in. Try channeling all that artistic energy into the kitchen and bake up some creative treats together. Think of your art supplies as the frosting, sprinkles, and decorating gels, and use cookies or cupcakes as your canvas. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it. George, you go this way.
Try it again. Hey, who do you think? Excuse me. Now, wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Because you scared me. What am I being detained for? You're being served. What is this? You're being served. What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Peace News. You can take control, share your stories of peaceful resistance, holding police accountable with video, and police abuse. Unfortunately, those stories are becoming quite popular. At least they're being reported. How many Eric Gardners have existed before and been killed at the hands of police without the existence of video that we don't know anything about? Let's return to this clip by Peter King. He's some douchebag politician who's a representative, so-called, in Congress. And he's saying, you know what? That Eric Garner guy who was killed at the hands of the NYPD for using a chokehold, which is against policy. Yeah, the officer isn't responsible, you see, because the man resisted arrest and was fat and had asthma. So, if you're not physically fit, you just can't survive police abuse. Sorry.
Appropriate that Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, is about to formally announce a federal Justice Department investigation into what happened.
I don't see how there's any civil rights violation here. And I think it should also be kept in mind, Wolf, that no one has done more to save the lives of young African Americans than the NYPD. There are thousands of young African Americans alive today because white and black police officers put their lives on the line every day, going into the toughest neighborhoods to protect them. There's been, again, in the last 20.
What sort of money does this guy get from police unions, I wonder, that he's able to speak like this? I mean, is he blind? Does he not see the way that the police in New York City abuse and dehumanize young black men? I mean, is it just me who's seeing this? The stop and frisk statistics of 90% minority communities, and meanwhile, white people make up less than 10% of the people stop and frisked. I mean, hello? He's talking about the NYPD like, oh yeah, it's the best friend of black people. Are you kidding me? Dude, where are you getting your contributions? You slimy politician. You must be greased up by those union thugs.
Years there's been about a 70-80% reduction in murders, and the overwhelming majority of those murders had been committed against African Americans. That's been reduced, and that should be brought out and made clear. The greatest beneficiaries of the NYPD are the African American community, and President Obama is serious about trying to bring racial peace to this country. The last thing he should be doing is having Al Sharpton sit in the White House. When he says that people in the African American community don't trust the police, one of the reasons is because agitators like Al Sharpton are constantly criticizing and attacking and denouncing the police before he has any idea what the facts are.
Yeah, all these people who speak the truth and talk about what's actually happening, man, they make it so complicated for us to tell our lies about how the police are there to protect and serve you, when really they're there to beat up you and collect your revenue.
All right, Peter King, the congressman from New York, the son of a police officer, himself grew up in New York City, so it's obviously a subject that hits right at home.
Oh, interesting. The son of a police officer grew up in New York.
Thank you.
I wonder where his bias comes from. What a bunch of baloney from this politician. Of course, he's a crooked, lying politician, just like the rest of them. So we continue right along here. We've got another video I want to display here. This time about the same topic. The video of what actually happened. We're just going to transition to the only man who was penalized for his involvement with the Eric Garner death. This videographer. Take a view if you're watching at home at PeaceNewsNow.com/live. You can see the live video. And for those of you who are listening along at LRN.FM, you can listen to the audio. Here we go. And warning, this does contain.
Don't worry, because he was just sitting here. I just came here.
Mind my business. The fight break out, stop it. Don't say you can put it up on me.
That's all right.
The people that's fighting just don't walk away. Are you serious? I ain't doing nothing. Let go.
Okay, so Eric Gardner is standing there, obviously having a. He's just standing there. He's got his hands by his side.
I'm not business.
He's saying he's minding his business and he wants to be left alone.
Easy way or hard way for what? Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it. It's time today.
This guy right here is forcibly trying to lock somebody up for breaking up a fight.
Everybody standing there, they told you I didn't do nothing. I did not sell nothing. Because every time you see me, you want to harass me, you want to stop me, trying to sell cigarettes. I'm minding my business, officer.
He's minding his own business. He wants to be left alone. Boy, I can relate.
Hold on.
Don't touch me, please. Don't touch me.
This is what slavery looks like in America. Put the chains on him. He's presenting his hand for handcuffing. Now they're just smushing him and he's saying he can't breathe.
Once again, police beating up on people.
There are 5 officers on top of him. And now one officer's doing...
All he did was break up a fight.
Yep.
And this is what happens for breaking up a fight. It's crazy.
It's crystal clear from the video who the aggressors are. They're the ones in black uniforms. He's surrounded by about 10 officers, some in plain clothes, some in uniform, all with violent tools, crushing him.
Look, now, man, they gave this man a seizure.
No, move out the way. No.
It's my brother.
They killed this man.
Back up this way. Everybody now back up. It's now going to become a crisis. Back it up. Back it up.
I'm going to my house.
This way. Let's go.
Can't go
to the house or that way.
Interesting choice of words. It's now going to become a crime scene. Well, what was it before, and who caused it to become a crime scene? Because the way I consider it, those police officers who used violence against that peaceful man who did nothing to harm anyone or create any victims, the ones who killed him, they're the ones who committed the crime. Because no victim, no crime. Even if he did sell cigarettes, ooh, so what? You know, the charge was that he sold untaxed cigarettes. Now, tell me how they're untaxed. You know, you buy them once, you pay the sales tax. Does the state not get enough money from that? No, they want a second sales tax from you. Oh, and by the way, you don't have a license to sell those cigarettes. That's going to be more money. What a joke. I mean, who owns you, right? If you own yourself, then you have the authority to contract with other free human beings to trade property voluntarily as you see fit. And that doesn't need to involve any third parties like the government to step in and say, hey, wait a minute, you're not allowed to do that. And if you do, and if you resist, I just might kill you. That's not a hyperbole. As we just witnessed, a man died at the hands of police for the alleged crime of selling untaxed cigarettes. Sure, they might throw in the additional charge of resisting arrest, but you just watched the video. Did you see any resisting? Of course, it's a big man. It's going to be tough to bring him down, but he did present his hands for cuffing. Now, they tried to wiggle his arms behind his back while he was on the ground, but at 200 and some pounds, it's going to be tough to do. Now, the officer involved was not charged with the crime, Pantaleo. But you know who was? That videographer who shot the video that we just watched. The one who revealed the crime to you and the rest of the world is the only one who's punished. Because truth is treason. Share your thoughts. You can Skype us, Peace News Now.
Talk Live.
Having spent 8 years, 6 months, and 21 days of my life in the Florida State prison system, I'm going to say that the incidences of rape are much, much exaggerated in the media. I'm sure it happened.
It makes for interesting television
Yeah,
shows.
yeah. I mean, all the things that I've seen on Oz, I saw in prison, but I was there for 9 years. So, you know, if I saw one incidence of violence where somebody got their ear bit off, okay, it didn't happen every episode.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it is a public perception, though, and people, it's almost a joke, you know, or it's like a wink and a nod.
Yeah, sure.
You know, Bubba's going to get you when you go to prison.
That's exactly the idea. As though sodomy somehow fixes people's broken minds. You know, that's not where they're putting that thing. So I mean, it's not gonna jostle anything around and fix it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in your federal or state income taxes, I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS, with their Fresh Start initiative, is offering more flexible terms to Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. They can help you lift your wage garnishments, stop bank levies, and put your tax problem behind you once and for all. If you owe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS or state, our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, we can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your debt for far less than what you owe. 800-978-3909, 800-978-3909, 800-978-3909, 800-978-3909.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's key New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at lrn.fm.
What's up, world? Welcome back. This is Peace News, and it's so good to be with you. We're talking about Eric Garner's death. He's the man who was choked by NYPD officer Pantaleo. And I know a bit about this because I struggled to breathe in one of my arrests by the Keene police. And this video comes from Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. I just want to share a brief video with you of one of the times when I was suffering from an inability to breathe thanks to a police officer jumping on top of me and holding down my neck. Here's the video.
Excuse me, now would you leave me alone? I would like to be left. Hey, you just.
Okay, so some similar language from me and Eric Garner. We both requested to be left alone, considered what the police to be doing to be harassment, and now, as you're about to see, the officer decides that the right thing to do at this time is to slam his car door into my bicycle, thus assaulting me.
Just assaulted me! What are you doing? What are you doing?
This is where he grabs my camera and throws it. Now the second cameras are activist footage from activists pouring out of the Keene Activism Center. Now, it's my belief that if they hadn't done this and come out with their plethora of video cameras, that I could have been killed. You can hear me screaming now. I can't breathe.
Why are you hurting my friend? I need assistance. Why are you hurting my friend?
21, I can barely make you out. Copy River and Castle.
So if you'll pay close attention to what's happening at this moment, there is a man, and he is on top of my body. This is happening against my consent. I've not given him any consent to be on top of me in this way. It's really unpleasant. I feel like I'm dying. He's cutting off my circulation. He's cutting off my ability to breathe. He's got his forearm in the by my artery, by my jugular, and he's got his knee on top of my waist. He's it doesn't seem like he's trying to turn me around, although he claimed that later, like, oh, you resisted. He was laying on his belly in a prone position. Well, no, you're on top of me, dude. I can't really get around you. So it's the same thing with the Eric Gardner arrest. These police are just all roided up. They're on steroids. They're on adrenaline junkies, you know, and so they get on top of you. They want to control the situation. They feel like things are out of control. They got to use more force. They got to call for backup. They don't know what, you know, if you don't just lay limp and go die, then they're not satisfied. And so that's exactly what nearly happened here, if not for my saviors who came out with video cameras to record what was happening and help Officer Moore become a little more level-headed. You can see in the video later, Adamo asks him why he's so roided up.
Right. I'm over the football with them. I need assistance. 42, can you copy him? No, but I'm going to be in his area in a second here. Hey, he needs assistance.
So at this point, he finally did let up, and I believe it's because he was completely surrounded by people with video cameras that he finally lets up. You can finally see that my chest starts to rise, and I start to catch my breath back. I stop saying, I can't breathe, and I start saying, why are you hurting me? And so I think that's the important distinction. A lot of police think, well, if you can talk, you can breathe. Well, that's not true. I've seen plenty of people who now on video who have been killed in parking lots in Oklahoma and now in New York City, people who they say they can't breathe with their last dying breath. And the police say, well, that doesn't make any sense. If he can talk, he can breathe. So, and if I kill him, and even if I don't follow policy, I won't be indicted or found to be doing anything wrong. So, you know, why not err on the side of more force? Why not just kill the guy? Hey, what could go wrong? If you're a cop, you have immunity, right? People love cops. And I want to talk about why people love cops in just a second. But first, we've got this important article about why the grand jury didn't indict the police who killed Eric Gardner, but they indicted the videographer who filmed it. This story from the Huffington Post, and it was published yesterday by Nick Wing. He writes, on Wednesday, a Staten Island grand jury decided not to return an indictment for the police officer who put Eric Garner, an unarmed black man, in a chokehold shortly before his death. A different Staten Island grand jury was less sympathetic to Ramsey Orta, however, the man who filmed the entire incident. Now hear this from Huffington Post.
Now, while the police officer involved is walking free, there was one person involved in Eric Garner's tragic death who was indicted. And that was the man who filmed the incident on his cell phone. In August, less than a month after he filmed Garner's death, Staten Island grand jury indicted Ramsey Orta and charged him with single felony counts of third-degree criminal weapon and firearm possession. As a result of an undercover investigation, police say the Orta, who is just 22, slipped a .25 caliber handgun into a teenage accomplice's waistband, but Orta denies the claims and testified that the charges are a result of police retaliation. Joanna, what do you make of these charges here?
You know, NYPD retaliation for people videotaping them and photographing them while they do their jobs is not a new concept. This is something that we deal with all the time. And at the Civil Liberties Union, we've actually designed an app called Stop and Squash that you can download that permits you to record a police interaction. And as soon as you either stop recording or shake your phone, those videos are automatically submitted to the NYCLU, specifically because we designed that feature specifically because we heard so many stories of the NYPD going in and deleting people's footage or confiscating their cameras. And the fact that we designed an app just to get at this exact issue, people's rights to film the police as they do their jobs, tells you, I think, speaks very loudly to our experience in New York with how the NYPD handles and reacts to First Amendment activity, specifically to themselves being recorded. And again, I think this really points to a weakness in the promotion of body cameras, police body cameras, as the answer to the solution to this problem. We have dozens and dozens of recordings of NYPD using excessive force or acting inappropriately, and we still can't get accountability. And yet the crackdown on New Yorkers who dare to film the police continues to happen.
Yeah, I want to stop her there and say that is of real concern to me as well. The fact that there are so many videos that document with an objective record that the police have committed serious crimes. Murder is a serious crime. And yet, the attitude of people towards the police is, well, we can't indict them. I mean, well, the police have to use force to control people. I mean, there's no other way. What if they saw a man resist arrest and get away with it? I mean, there would be chaos. No one would respect the police anymore. They have to throw down the iron fist.
And so, I'm not an expert on that particular case against that particular individual, but certainly it is not at all surprising that someone who recorded the police officers behaving badly, so to speak, would have been either targeted or watched more closely by the police. We're surprised that no one snatched the camera out of his hand, frankly, because we see that all the time.
That's right. And it's not murder that's the crime, remember. It's not excessive force that's the crime. It's exposing the crime that's the crime. Turning to the article from Nick Wing at HuffingtonPost.com. In August, less than a month after filming the fatal July 17th encounter in which Daniel Pantaleo and other NYPD police officers confronted Garner for allegedly selling untaxed cigarettes, a grand jury indicted Orta on weapons charges stemming from an arrest by undercover officers earlier that month. Police alleged that Orta had slipped a .25 caliber handgun into the teenage accomplice's waistband outside a New York hotel. Do you think that's really what it was about? Or is this retaliation?
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin, any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amped is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm.
I'm Mark Stevens of the No State Project. And are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're only helping the government. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available right now. Learn it, use it, spread it. So get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market, making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Worms. Welcome back. Hope you're well. We are live. It's Thursday, December 4th, 2014, 10:47 here in Keene, in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world. It's so good to be with you. You can dial in 443-424-8347, gets you on the air. You can also Skype Peace News Now. So we're talking about Ramsey Orta, the man who filmed Eric Gardner's chokehold death, who was arrested on weapons charges. Why is this? Well, apparently the grand jury found it fit to indict this man, alleging that he had slipped a .25 caliber handgun into a teenage accomplice's waistband outside a New York hotel. Now, Orta testified that the charges were falsely mounted by police in retaliation for his role in documenting Garner's death. Sounds pretty likely. But the grand jury rejected his contention, charging him with single felony count of third-degree criminal weapon possession and criminal firearm possession. So let me get this straight. About 12 uniformed police officers murder a man against policy, all with a myriad of weapons, but because they've got a uniform and a tin badge, well, that's just okay. But this thug who uses the tool of video to create an objective record of this murder at the hands of the police, you see, he should be charged with criminal firearm possession and third-degree criminal weapon possession. Now, let me remind you that the first gun laws in the United States were created to prevent slaves from owning guns. Is there any difference between the gun laws that existed then and the gun laws that exist today? The grand juries, I skipped a paragraph. In Garner's case, on the other hand, jurors determined that there was not probable cause that Pantaleo had committed any crime. A medical examiner ruled Gardner's death homicide, in part resulting from the chokehold, a restraining move banned by the NYPD in 1993. Over 20 years ago. So it's unlikely that this new cop had ever been taught that a chokehold is the right thing to do. Because you saw the video, he's a pretty young guy. Looked like he was in his 20s. The use of grand juries in high-profile police killings has attracted increasing scrutiny after such juries declined to indict both Darren Wilson, the police officer who shot and killed Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri this summer, and now Pantaleo. While the famous saying goes that a grand jury could, quote, indict a ham sandwich, it's become clear that they also give much more leeway to police officers. St. Louis County prosecutor Bob McCullough's objectivity was regularly called into question throughout the Brown case. Critics argue that the close cooperation between law enforcement and prosecutors may make them more hesitant to bring charges against police officers. You think? They both work for the same criminal organization. Imagine if a prosecutor actually prosecuted police the same as he does everyone else. Do you think he would keep his job for very long? How long do you think it would take before some union thugs appear at his door, at his home, and threaten him and his family, his life, his freedom? It doesn't have to be an explicit threat. Maybe they just won't come to his aid when he needs them. In addition, in the Brown case, Wilson was allowed to offer hours of testimony in his own defense. For this and other reasons, critics accused prosecutors of abusing the grand jury process to achieve an outcome that would be favorable to law enforcement. It's not yet clear what role, if any, Pantaleo played in the grand jury proceedings. We turn next to an article by Michael Malice, which may shed some light on this issue and explain why the police officer who murdered a man was not indicted, but the man who recorded it was. The article is titled, "Why I've Never Respected the Police," by Michael Malice at thoughtcatalog.com. Michael writes, "A decade ago, BBC Radio interviewed me about one of my books. Michael," the DJ said, "you seem to make fun of the police a lot in your book. Do you get in any trouble for that?" The discussion had been a typically vapid one until that point, and this question seemed in line with that. I thought I'd give a response as typical and vapid as the question. "Well," I said, "it's like my father told me growing up. No matter where you go, no matter where you find yourself in the world, the stupidest people are always the cops." The interviewer literally gasped. "Michael, this is a family show," he snapped, immediately changing the subject. I was baffled. Sure, I'd seen the degree to which people venerate police in red state culture, but I'd never encountered anyone who would find my statement to be noteworthy, let alone transgressive. Or in the former Soviet Union, and came to the United States when I was 2. Because I came to Brooklyn so young, I never considered myself particularly Russian. I only learned to read and write the language in college so I could get an easy A. My fluency was completely conversational and apparently heavily accented. At one point, my grandmother told me that I speak Russian as if I had Down syndrome. It's only recently, with the escalating segregation of the U.S. into Team Red and Team Blue, that I've come to realize just how much being raised in a Russian household affected my thinking. And nowhere is this more evident than in my perspective on the police, or rather, my awareness of the American perspective on the police. In Russian culture, the police are the enemy. If they come to your home, bad things come with them. I don't mean bad like when the landlord tells you the hot water will be out for a couple days. I mean bad as in your entire life and that of everyone in your family is going to be messed up very heavily and very quickly. One corollary to that was that calling the cops is considered the worst thing you can do in terms of character. It's almost the equivalent of bringing a rabid dog into your enemy's house. Yes, your enemy might get what's coming to them. Maybe. Hopefully. But you're still stuck with a savage beast to deal with. One that will be just as happy to bite anyone and everyone. And you brought this thing upon your own family? What kind of person are you? As a consequence of our family culture, I didn't grow up trusting the police. This was not something that needed to be taught to me. Children are naturally scared of strangers. Most kids hide behind their parents when an unfamiliar, not of my family adult approaches. They're especially scared of authority figures. A call to the principal's office is a moment of dread, not a ticket to Narnia. One needs to be taught to trust strangers, especially strangers who have nasty demeanors and wear ominous uniforms. Republicans like to make fun of progressives for what they describe as political correctness. One particularly biting description of political correctness is that of, quote, a disciplined refusal to acknowledge reality. As the claim goes, liberals pretend that facts they dislike simply aren't true, even when those facts are perfectly obvious to everyone else. But conservatives' views on the police is its own version of political correctness. Growing up here in America, I constantly heard that I could trust the police. They were here to help me and keep me safe. They were admirable, heroes even. I was told it in school, I read it in comic books, and it was one of the lessons She-Ra imparted to us at the end of an episode. Yet, I couldn't reconcile what I was being taught with what I was seeing with my own eyes. We'll return to this article from the Thought Catalog, thoughtcatalog.com, Michael Malice, the author. This is Peace News. You can dial in, share your stories. Skype us. Peace News Now.
For years, Southwest Airlines has boasted having the most loyal customers in the industry. Now the low-cost carrier is calling on its most frequent customers to finally do something in return for the airline. The company rolled out their new Loyalty Goes Both Ways program in a new ad campaign.
You said you wanted free check bags, and we listened. Now you listen to us.
Southwest's program is part of a new trend of companies not letting their customers exploit them anymore. CEO Gary C. Kelly has gone as far as to record this radio ad, which Southwest started airing nationwide.
Hi, this is Southwest CEO Gary Kelly. If my wife calls asking about me, I need you to lie and say I was with you. Remember all those low fares I gave you.
To any Southwest customers thinking about saying they're too busy to help, Kelly has some harsh words saying, quote, "We're always there for our customers. To anyone who can't do us a solid now and then, f*** you. That's not loyalty, that's freeloading."
This is the Onion News Network. Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
More Peace News Now is coming up next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Thursday, December 4th, 2014. Gold closed Wednesday at $1,209, up $11. Silver closed at $16.41, down 4 cents. And Bitcoin is trading around $379. Today's Bitcoin price brought to you by ExpressCoin, the fastest and most reliable way to buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin today at expresscoin.com. Today's edition of the Liberty Beat is made possible by eFoods Direct, redefining the way you think about storable food. They've created a menu of food that's so good, so easy to make, you'll find yourself eating it every day, even though it has a shelf life of up to 25 years.
Well, let me tell you what keeps me up
Direct
at
is
night.
offering 10% off to all Liberty Beat listeners. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/LibertyBeat or call 800-620-5520 and mention Liberty Beat for your savings today. On Wednesday evening, protesters in New York City shut down the West Side Highway to contest a grand jury decision not to indict an NYPD officer who choked Eric Gardner to death. Throughout the night, protesters walked through the streets, blocking traffic at 51st Street and parts of Broadway. Protesters attempted to disrupt the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony at Rockefeller Center, but the police kept them away from the tree. Eric Garner was killed in July when officers attempted to arrest him for selling illegal cigarettes and held him in a chokehold until he died. On Wednesday, a coalition of 17 U.S. states announced they were suing the Obama administration for issuing an executive order on immigration policy. Reuters reports that Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott is leading the fight with a lawsuit filed at the federal court in the Southern District of Texas. President Obama's executive action would allow up to 4.7 million illegal immigrants to stay without threat of deportation. A California state appeals court has unanimously ruled that the state's practice of DNA collection from people who are arrested for felonies is in violation of the state constitution. Justice J. Anthony Klein wrote, the California DNA Act intrudes too quickly and too deeply into the privacy interests of arrestees. The Liberty Beat is sponsored by Central Texas Gun Works, your online source for firearms, firearm accessories, and ammunition. They take major credit cards and now accept Bitcoin. Visit them online at shop.centraltexasgunworks.com. Support for the Liberty Beat also comes from Midas Resources Incorporated, helping clients convert their paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver. Get their 10 Reasons book free by calling 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237. This is the Liberty Beat for Thursday, December 4th, 2014. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thelibertybeat. Ecuadorian environmental activists were harassed by the Ecuadorian police, and their bus was seized as they attempted to travel to the United Nations Climate Conference in Peru. Anna Romero, with the group, said they were stopped 6 times before the bus was finally taken. She believes the Ecuadorian government is trying to stop them from protesting plans for oil drilling in Yasuni, the Amazon Basin Nature Reserve. The group is now seeking donations to continue their journey to the climate conference. An officer with the Houston, Texas Police Department has been fired and charged with bribery and misuse of official information for giving tow truck drivers tips on illegally parked cars. Charles Russell, formerly of the HPD, was apparently informing 2 drivers about cars parked illegally in downtown Houston in exchange for free car repairs. Potential 2016 presidential candidate Senator Rand Paul is proposing a declaration of war against the Islamic State. The legislative effort has little chance of success, but could burnish the Kentucky Republican's effort to paint himself as a strict constitutionalist as he explores a White House bid. The stepfather of Michael Brown has apologized for angry comments that he made after the grand jury decided not to indict the police officer who killed his stepson, but says those comments had nothing to do with the fires and violent rioting that ravaged Ferguson and the surrounding area. The Liberty Beat is brought to you by Marjorie Wildcraft's Grow Your Own Groceries. Homegrown food on every table. That's growyourowngroceries.org. Want to reach tens of thousands of like-minded listeners every day with your messenger product? The Liberty Beat is looking for sponsors for their daily news service. Support this grassroots media project while expanding your reach to a targeted market. To find out more details, visit thelibertybeat.com/advertise. This is the Liberty Beat for Thursday, December 4th, 2014. I'm Brian Hagan reporting, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
According to a new report released this week by the Pew Research Center, a rising number of weak, emasculated men are working as stay-at-home dads, with a steadily increasing number of feeble, pathetic fayboys choosing to spend their days cooking, cleaning, and performing other submissive duties.
Well, our findings indicate that more and more pussified half-men are not going to work and instead are embarrassing themselves by purchasing groceries, packing children's lunches, and denying all aspects of their masculinity on a daily basis.
The Onion spoke to one of these effete, pathetic excuses for men to get his response on the new report.
I love being able to stay home with Angela. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
What a f***ing pussy. For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back to hour number 2. This is Peace News, and we're talking about why Michael Malice never respected the police. You know, I never did either, and there's a lot of overlap here. I think of what he describes so well, a person's natural inclination to not trust strangers, especially as a young person. We have to be trained to love the police, and maybe that's not such a good thing. So let's return to this article from thoughtcatalog.com. He says, growing up in America, I constantly heard I could trust the police. They were there to help me and to keep me safe. They were admirable, heroes even. I was told it in school. I read it in comic books. It was even one of the lessons that She-Ra imparted to us at the end of an episode. Yet I couldn't reconcile that what I was being taught didn't match with what I was seeing with my own eyes. Yes, some police officers were more polite than others, but every single one of them presented themselves as trashy, tacky louts. And I say this as someone who grew up in a mafia neighborhood, not Park Avenue. These were not people with capes waving behind them. They were not aspirational figures, Lady Liberty at her best. These were people that I, as an immigrant, desperately wanted to avoid becoming. These were degenerates. America gone soft and repellent. Unless you're taught otherwise, unless you have blinders on, it is impossible to look at police and not see the worst-mannered people in your area. Yes, sometimes they produce good consequences. But so does chemotherapy. That doesn't mean people like chemotherapy, nor is chemo something you want around terrorist situations. And even then, you want it to be over as quickly as possible. When we first came to the U.S., there were several times where my family was treated very poorly. I recall my mom crying one day because the doctor berated her about learning to speak English as she struggled to understand his technical explanations. As a consequence, I always acknowledge whomever I'm interacting with as a fellow human. I don't talk on my phone when the cashier is checking me out. I nod if I make eye contact with someone doing menial work. We're both people. We might even both be terrible people. But consistently dehumanizing others can't but lead to bad psychological experiences in the self. And my cost is nil. But the police are different. Being a cop is the only profession where it's not only appropriate to yell at strangers, it's necessary. It's to choose a career where you place yourself on a plane above everyone else by law. Their argument goes that someone has to do it. Maybe that's true. To defend becoming a cop is to give the Jack Nicholson speech in A Few Good Men. Perhaps there are a few good men in the police force, but they are far, far outnumbered by the bad apples because of the very nature of the role. Physicians know to first do no harm. Our legal system is based on the principle that it's better 100 guilty men go free than one innocent man be jailed. But being a cop doesn't work like that. To wear a badge means to traumatize people who are innocent. It's to harass adults who, upon inspection, have done nothing wrong. That is an unavoidable part of the job, a function of its statistical approach to justice. You put on a badge knowing that you will sometimes do the wrong thing. Once you give up your conscience, once you disregard your ability for your accountability, once you give up your conscience, once you disregard your accountability for your ethical choices, you've given up the most basic thing that makes us human. Knowingly doing evil is as low as it gets. That, and that alone, is enough for me to condemn the police. Not just the bad cops, but each and every single one of them. Police abuse in the U.S. has gotten so bad, the UN is now stepping in with a watchdog group.
We have reports of widespread excessive use of force by the police. This gives rise to concern, of course. Some vulnerable groups, including ethnic groups, blacks, have been particularly targeted. For this reason, the committee feels that there's a need for investigation and prosecution of all cases of police brutality.
So things have gotten so bad, according to the United Nations, that a watchdog group has now convened to keep track of police abuse in the United States. The UN Committee Against Torture urged the United States on Friday to fully investigate and prosecute police brutality and shootings of unarmed black youth and ensure that taser weapons are used sparingly. The panel's first record on preventing torture since 2006 followed racially tinged unrest in cities across the country this week, sparked by a Ferguson, Missouri grand jury's decision not to charge a police officer for the fatal shooting of a teenager. The committee decried excruciating pain and prolonged suffering for prisoners during botched executions, as well as frequent rapes of inmates, shackling of pregnant women in some prisons, and extensive use of solitary confinement. Its findings cited deep concern about numerous reports of police brutality and excessive use of force against people from minority groups, immigrants, homosexuals, and racial profiling. The panel referred to the frequent and recurrent police shootings or fatal pursuits of unarmed black individuals. Quote, "We recommend that all instances of police brutality and excessive use of force by law enforcement officers are investigated promptly, effectively, and impartially by an independent mechanism." That from panel member Alicio Bruni, who also noted, quote, "Reported current police violence in Chicago, especially against African Americans and Latino young people." The U.S. delegation reported that 20 investigations had been opened since 2009 into systematic police abuses and that more than 330 police officers had been prosecuted for brutality. Now, I have to insert my own commentary here to make the point that while statistically minority groups suffer the hands of police far more than their majority counterparts. However, this is not simply a race issue. It's a power issue. Who has the power and why? How did the police gain authority over you and your life? Why must you obey them? Is it because might makes right? Or maybe their authority isn't legitimate after all? You tell me. Who owns you?
Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges.
This is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and I just want to personally apologize for airing a jingle week after week, month after month, that turned out to be such an infectious brainworm. So to make it up to you, I'm offering a free gift. The next time you make a purchase at ShinyBadges.com, write worms in the transaction comments, and I'll send you something weird.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial ever since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org. If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates, no worries. You can listen to LRN.FM from any phone, anywhere. Add this number to your phone: 213-493-0309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked into our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com, advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Do you trust the police? I don't. Police lie, and they get away with it. They can murder and get away with it. I record them. I record all interactions with police because I treat them like rabid dogs. Sorry. I hate to be that way, but that's the reality. I mean, do you see the police abuse stories? The chances are likely that if you encounter a police officer, you're going to have a bad day. So you might as well video record and get an objective record of what happens so that they don't lie and drag you into court later, charge you with victimless crimes, and throw you in a state rape cage. Let's turn now to a video which makes light of the chains we wear, the metaphorical chains, of course. This from Nima Vadadi.
See my chains, these my chains. See my chains, motherfuckers, see my chains. See my chains, see my chains. See my chains, these my chains, see my chains. See my chains, these my chains. They feeling strange. See my chains, see my chains. See my chains, they don't change. I just wanna spit, get money, feed my daughter, live peaceful. Diamond crush the chains around the necks of all my people. And so I put in work, but it's like there's something so deceitful. Something they pretend is always waiting like the reaper. Step out of line and you gon' see just how free you truly be. I've been tased, I know it G, but some can't know like Michael B. Some got domes trying to break free. Minds get blown if you really wanna peek. Some have thrones if they really wanna seek. And obsessed about how to make a villain weak. They let us say, fuck cops, that's their excuse to shoot. They let us say slang rocks as their excuse to loot. At the end of the day, it's us first they. Who's they? You say just goons who call it day jobs. No such line as thin blue. One day you might not see them coming cause they flying and they humming. Man, they won't even bother with due process for the slaughter. And when that Cheeto eater uses joystick as a heater for a split second as you go, you'll see the chain, you'll know. See my chains, these my chains. See my chains, motherfuckers, see my chains. See my chains, see my chains. See my chains, these my chains, see my chains. See my chains, these my chains. They feeling strange. See my chains, see my chains. See my chains, they don't change. You see my chains, bracelets, teeth. All this gold is heavy, I feel like it's restraining me. I got a gang of loot, make moves till I lay deceased. Strange fruit, is that a noose or is that my Jesus piece? I got a team of rings, I won't remove for a second. Cause every day I stay studded like a torture weapon. Bounded by the Reeboks, shackled like my wristwatch. Fuck it man, this shit's hot, it's shiny, watch it TikTok. Damn, you see my chains? Pocket full of dead slave masters, you see my change? Teach you what to worship when purchasing every day. The truth is you work for them, they inflate your wealth away. And taxes are much the same, take action and they will aim. AKs and flash grenade, AK you've got to pay. If not, get locked away, kidnapped in open day. Them cuffs, yeah they are chains, now act like you ain't enslaved. See my chains, these my chains. See my chains, motherfuckers, see my chains. See my chains, see my chains. See my chains, these my chains, see my chains. See my chains, these my chains. They feeling strange. See my chains, see my chains. See my chains, they don't change.
Our whole lives we're told they'll keep us safe. That's for our good, that we should trust them. But trust without truth is for suckers.
But as the chain gets heavier, with ways like getting cleverer, they got some shit you never heard to stop the main embezzler. We'll be cashing in the dollar while they're thrashing in the lava, laughing at the drama as we laying with their mamas. I know this shit is fucking ridiculous, but it ain't just what I wish it is. Talk about all our private businesses, make their own decisions, kid, and all promises proof proven by infinite witnesses. When them fools can lie no more, well then they cannot buy their war. Can't look you in the eye no more and tell you what you're dying for. They'll get whipped back if they try to whip me. It'll be more than defeat. The whole plan station's obsolete. But the chain is gone, and now we free. No longer have to be in a mass society. Lock is the chain, we can't be slaves. Just if there are no masters to keep us in our cage. The chain is gone, and now we free. No longer have to be in a mass society. We opened up our eyes, since all the crimes, all it took to realize it's time to centralize. That's it, isn't it? The gig's up, they ain't got much time left. Want to end their career, they're gonna do it for me. Buy some coins, homie. Even if it's Doge.
Amazing redemption in the third act on that video. It starts out all sad and talking about the metaphorical chains that we all wear, of course, bringing up the gold and the physical chains that rappers will wear, the dressings that we trap ourselves in, the things that we chase in terms of money and values. But then also the chains that we wear because police can abduct us, kidnap us, draw our blood, force us into rape cages, all against our will. They could pretty much ruin our lives at the drop of a hat if they want to. And as we saw in the recent lack of indictment by Eric Garner's murderer, they can get away with murder too. So this is the reality that we face. But then he ends it with a positive message of, hey, you can choose freedom and peace. There's Bitcoin and there's the internet. So we could basically connect with each other, connect the good people, work on building technologies that free humanity like Bitcoin, which is a voluntary currency. It's a way of exchanging value. Here on Peace News, we accept Bitcoin as our sole source of funding, pretty much. Don't accept any blood dollars or Federal Reserve notes. So yeah, there is hope for a free future, and Nima just nailed it with that video. And his partner on that video apparently was Mason Moore, who I'd never heard before, but I thought did a terrific job. Now we turn to a disturbing video, and warning, this is not pleasant to watch, but I think is very important as we get into the topic of slave-on-slave violence. Okay, so we're going to go to this video. It's 2 minutes long. It was posted to Facebook by a man named Jerry Schrecker, and of course it was posted also to World Star Hip Hop, a popular website where people post slave-on-slave violence. This is what it looks like.
Getting on the intro, y'all. Take everything off right now. Take everything off. Chill out.
Okay, so a man is being told by another man in a back alley to remove his clothes. Now it is censored out. He's saying, take off your clothes, take them off, jeans and everything. This is the type of slave-on-slave violence that actually exists in the world, and you probably have never encountered it or seen it before unless you've lived in a really bad neighborhood. Well, thanks to video, we can now see what's really going on in the world. See, you can't solve a problem if you don't know the problem exists. So we're going to return and we're going to finish that video. But there is hope.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Badavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photos, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more.
It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit the Liberty Radio Network when you shop at Amazon via shop.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country.
Yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market, making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Still coming up, what keeps Art Acevedo up at night? He's the chief of police over at the Austin Police Department, and he's got some 1984 psychobabble to spew at us coming up. But first, let's finish this video of what I call slave-on-slave violence. And I'm not just calling black people slaves, although the people in this video are black. I'm talking about the violence that regulars, you and me, inflict on one another. Now, I don't use violence, of course, but people like us will force our friends and neighbors to work within the system. They will work with the government. They'll say, well, I had to get my ham license, so you have to also. Or they'll say, well, hey, I was busted for pot, so you should get the maximum penalty for you getting busted for pot too. This is the way that slaves against the system. Slaves will turn on each other rather than turn on the system, which is oppressing them. They'll say, hey, well, I was oppressed, you should be oppressed too. Now, this sort of mentality doesn't just exist with the state. And I want to illustrate that with a video that came to my attention this week. And it comes to us from worldstarhiphop.com, not a typical news source for Peace News. But I thought this video was particularly shocking, and I think it's worth showing. So if you're watching along at PeaceNewsNow.com/live, you'll be able to see what we're watching. Otherwise, just take a listen to the audio. I think you'll be able to figure it out.
D-Dog, the dumbest dog ever.
A man is undressing on the street out in public on the sidewalk in what appears to be an alley in front of.
Yeah, just because his father money, you gotta take all his shit off. Man, take his drawers off.
Now, what's been alleged is that this man's father, the one who is undressing, owes the man who is undressing him money. So because money is owed, he's going to physically humiliate him.
Shit was real. Oh no, I gotta clean him up. He's taking a shower.
Forcing him to undress, and now they're spraying water on him. But it's not going to end here. It's not just humiliation. The violence is coming. It's not enough that he got completely naked. Now he has to obey commands, or what will happen? He'll be struck. Now he's being whipped with his father's belt.
Say it on the camera. Doggy dog. Tell the camera who Wallace is. Doggy dog.
All right. And I'm going to stop the video there because we don't need to enjoy the rest of that. You see what's happening. A man is being whipped on the streets. And this is somehow okay. I mean, where are the police? Where's justice when this is happening out in the middle of the day, plain view in a city? It just is completely shocking to me that this sort of thing can even happen today. But of course, if you listen to the authorities, what's keeping them up at night isn't people like this. No,
folks, let me tell
people
you what keeps
probably
me up at
like
night.
you.
It's these guys. It's these homegrown extremists that are lone wolves, that are mad at the world, that are angry. And that's why it's important for us as Americans to know our neighbor, know our families. Tell somebody. If you know somebody that's acting with a lot of hatred towards any particular group, especially if you know that somebody's a gun enthusiast or is armed with these type of firearms and they're showing any type of propensity for hatred, doesn't mean that we're going to go and take them to jail, but we might want to vet these people. He may well be alive today had we had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and they're talking about new details reveal that Larry Stephen McWilliams had more than 30 targets. Today, Police Chief Art Acevedo has a call to action for the community. So listen to the preview here and watch today on Fox News 7 as reported by My Fox Austin. Some of that language, it came right out of 1984. I mean, I swear, the FBI, they put out a warning list of like, this is what we're really concerned about right now. This is the top of our priority list. These homegrown domestic terrorists, people who store gold and silver and talk about sound money, people who like guns. We're really concerned about these types of people. I mean, this is only a 40-second clip. Let's listen again. This is literally, these are the words of Art Acevedo, Chief of Police of the Austin Police Department, not today, but this week, December 1st. He said this.
Folks, let me tell you what keeps me up at night. It's these guys. It's these homegrown extremists.
Homegrown
that are
extremists. Lone wolf.
That are mad at the world, that are angry. And that's why it's important for us as Americans to know our neighbor, know our families. Tell somebody. If you know somebody that's acting with a lot of hatred towards any particular group, especially if you know that somebody's a gun enthusiast or is armed with these type of firearms and they're showing any type of propensity for hatred, doesn't mean that we're going to go and take them to jail, but we might want to vet these people.
No, we're just going to show up at their door and ask them to show us our guns.
Had we had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, hey, we're just going to show up at your door and say, show us your guns to make sure that everything's fine. Hey, we got some other news here from antiwar.com. The House okays expansion of military operations against ISIS. Kerry praises the new war against ISIS, says it'll take years. Isn't that great? Senator Rand Paul introduces a new war declaration against ISIS. May sound strange, but if you care about doing things legally, which I don't, you know, the government is immoral. I care about morality, not legality. Well, Rand Paul wants to introduce a war declaration against ISIS. Apparently, because that's the legal way to do it. Not because it's moral, just because he wants to follow the law. Also, the Pentagon is monitoring ISIS training operations in Libya. And Senator Crocker says the U.S. was poised for a 10-hour Syria war in 2013. Also coming up, how NSA hacks cell phone networks worldwide. And we hear from Roger Ver, who says every time you use Bitcoin, you undermine violence. Brilliant words. I'm excited for that. But first, let's just change the mood real quick. I think this is too important. I saw this video earlier today. It made me smile. I want to make you smile. This is a kitten drinking milk right from a cow. This is raw milk. And isn't that kitten so cute? Lapping up the milk direct from the source. Aww. Meow. All right, that's enough of that. Let's just change the mood. Now, antiwar.com reports that the NSA can hack cell phone networks worldwide. This from The Intercept, reported earlier today by Ryan Gallagher, who writes, in March 2011, 2 weeks before the Western intervention in Libya, a secret message was delivered to the National Security Agency. An intelligence unit within the U.S. military's Africa Command needed help to hack into Libya's cell phone networks and monitor text messages. For the NSA, the task was easy. The agency had already obtained technical information about the cell phone carrier's internal systems by spying on documents sent among company employees, and these details would provide the perfect blueprint to help the military break into the networks. The NSA's assistance in the Libya operation, however, was not an isolated case. It was part of a much larger program, global in its scope and ramifications, targeted not just at hostile countries. According to the documents contained in the archive of material provided to The Intercept by whistleblower Edward Snowden, the NSA has spied on hundreds of companies and organizations internationally, including in countries closely allied to the United States, in an effort to find security weaknesses in cell phone technology can exploit for surveillance. The documents also revealed how the NSA plans to secretly introduce new flaws into communication systems so that they can be tapped into, a controversial tactic that security experts say could be exposing the general population to criminal hackers. We've got this story from The Intercept, plus how using Bitcoin undermines violence. This is Peace News.
Khalid lives in Gaza. He makes his living as a taxi driver. The engine in his old beater blew up. Now, he makes good money driving people in his cab, but he couldn't afford the $1,300 for a new engine. Free Talk Live helped him get a loan for the engine. He's back on the road. You can help us help more people by getting your coffee through coffee.freetalklive.com. Make a difference, 1 cup at a time. Get a free pound to try out the subscription. Cancel anytime. Coffee.freetalklive.com.
Anyone can publish on the internet, but not everyone is publishing material suited for online reading. According to the Yahoo Style Guide, it cautions that internet content has a few seconds, 3 or less, to encourage people to read more, to take action, or navigate to another one of your pages. So make it easy for readers to pick and choose. Isn't that the way you poke around online? Use short words, short sentences, short paragraphs, bulleted lists, and short pages. Front load what you write, putting the most important information at the beginning of headlines and paragraphs and sentences. Same goes for your keywords, what someone would likely type into the search box on Yahoo or Google. For more tips on communicating better online or in a job interview or everyday life, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Did you know that you can listen to LRN.FM 24/7 via our free-to-air satellite channel? From Mexico to Canada, our signal covers nearly all of North America. All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage map and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hardworking men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs. I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can interact with other LRN listeners in our message board at forum.lrn.fm. That's forum.lrn.fm.
There we go. Hey, everybody. I was waiting for that drop. I can never time it quite right. Gotta just change this music. I think it's about time. Hey, this is the final segment of Peace News. I'm excited to be with you, and we're live. It's Thursday, December 4th, 2014. We're talking about police abuse. What else is new? The NSA is spying on your cell phone. How do they do it? We aren't quite sure, but we're learning more from The Intercept. Codenamed Aurora Gold. The covert operation has monitored the content of messages sent and received by more than 1,200 email accounts associated with major cell phone network operators, intercepting confidential company planning papers that help the NSA hack into cell phone networks. One high-profile surveillance target is GSM Association, an influential UK-headquartered trade group that works closely with US-based firms, including Microsoft, Facebook, AT&T, and Cisco, and is currently being funded by the US government to develop privacy-enhancing technologies. Karsten Knoll, a leading cell phone security expert and cryptographer, who was consulted by The Intercept about details contained in the Aurora Gold documents, said that the broad scope of information swept up in the operation appears aimed at ensuring virtually every cell phone network in the world is NSA accessible. Collecting an inventory like this on world networks has big ramifications, Knoll said, because it allows the NSA to track and circumvent upgrades in encryption technology used by cell phone companies to shield calls and texts from eavesdropping. Evidence that the agency has deliberately plotted to weaken the security of communication infrastructure was particularly alarming. Even if you love the NSA and you say you have nothing to hide, you should be against a policy that introduces security vulnerabilities. Because once NSA introduces a weakness, a vulnerability, it's not only the NSA that can exploit it. The NSA spokeswoman Vinnie Vines told The Intercept in a statement that the agency, quote, works to identify and report on the communications of valid foreign targets to anticipate threats to the United States and its allies. Vines said, quote, NSA collects only those communications that it is authorized by law to collect in response to valid foreign intelligence and counterintelligence requirements. Isn't that nice of her to just declare that they're valid? Really? Who says so? You? And you work for the NSA, the largest spying organization in the world? Yeah, I'm really going to trust you to determine what's valid. Regardless of the technical means used by foreign targets or the means by which those targets attempt to hide their communications. Yeah, well, the Aurora Gold operation is carried out by specialist NSA surveillance units whose existence has not been publicly disclosed. The Wireless Portfolio Management Office, which defines and carries out the NSA's strategy for exploiting wireless communications, and the Target Technology Trends Center, which monitors the development of new communication technology to ensure that the NSA isn't blindsided by innovations that could evade its surveillance reach. The center's logo is a picture of an Earth overshadowed by a large telescope. Its motto is predict, plan, prevent. NSA documents reveal that as of May 2012, the agency had collected technical information on about 70% of cell phone networks worldwide, 701 of an estimated 985, and was maintaining a list of 1,200 email selectors used to intercept internal company details from employees. And selector, as we learned from Edward Snowden, is an agency term for a unique identifier, like an email address or a phone number. So from November 2011 to April 2012, between 363 and 1,354 selectors were tasked by the NSA for surveillance each month as part of Aurora Gold, according to the documents. Do you really think that about 1,000 people a month were valid targets for NSA surveillance by Aurora Gold? Or do you think instead that they were just sweeping up huge swaths of data and not really choosing selectively based on what they want? Seems like they were snooping into the companies that provide phone service. And they were figuring out a way to introduce vulnerabilities by reading their internal memos and then working to subvert them. The secret operation appears to have been active at least since 2010. The information collected from the companies is passed into NSA signals development teams that focus on infiltrating communications networks. It's also shared with other U.S. intelligence community agencies and with NSA counterparts in countries that are part of the so-called Five Eyes Surveillance Alliance: the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Now, we can see, aside from the mentions of a handful of operations in Libya, China, and Iran, names of the targeted companies are not disclosed in the NSA's documents. However, a top-secret world map featured in a June 2012 presentation of Aurora Gold suggests that the NSA has some degree of network coverage in almost all countries on every continent, including in the United States and in closely allied countries such as the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and France. And here on the screen, I'm sharing with you the map, the top secret map, which has now been disclosed thanks to Edward Snowden and The Intercept and the brave journalists like Glenn Greenwald, who worked tirelessly to bring this important information to the public. Now, I don't have time to finish this article. I urge you to finish it on your own time. The Intercept at firstlook.org. The links will be in our show notes. It's called Aurora Gold if you want to do some Google searching in the meantime. Now we turn to our final story of the evening, some redemption in the third act. Take a deep breath. Just let that negative energy go, because using Bitcoin undermines violence. Roger Ver explains in a recent interview at Cointelegraph.com. Amanda B. Johnson writes, Roger Ver, Bitcoin multimillionaire and peace advocate, is no stranger to violence. He called out the state organization of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ATF, for being murderers, a la Waco, and then he found himself the target of ATF-backed persecution. He spent 10 months in a cage in California. Ver moved to Japan the day his parole ended and has lived there ever since. Ver is a well-known donor and angel investor, and he's currently offering to match up to $20,000 in donated bitcoins to antiwar.com. Cointelegraph saw this as the perfect occasion to ask him more about his beliefs on Bitcoin and peace. Cointelegraph asks, why do you think war happens? Roger Ver responds, the military-industrial complex makes a fortune by brainwashing people from a young age in government-run schools. They are indoctrinated to believe that it's okay to kill strangers in a far-off land if strangers in a closer area tell you to. In reality, killing strangers is wrong, regardless of what other strangers tell you to do, or what kind of fancy uniforms they're wearing, or what kind of flags are in front of their buildings. It's so simple and indisputable when you actually hear it. Don't kill people you haven't met. There's more to this interview, but we'll have to leave it there for tonight. That's all the time we have. It's been Peace News. Derek J with you from derekj.me. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, go send me a Bitcoin donation. I ask for about 50 cents an episode. You can do that at derekj.me/sponsor. And in the meantime, peace.
Off the air live. Anything that's fun we're not allowed